And welcome back to the Ballin Sisters. The sisters are back on the same screen after a long time. And yes, I've got sister with me. And sister, I think so. Today's conversation, why I wanted to bring you in and why we wanted to have this conversation and share it with our friends and family over here, that we love the game of football quite a lot, and we love all around all the clubs, the kind of competition we all have. But when I talk about competition, there is one club which comes to my mind quite a lot, and that is the Red Devils, Manchester United, one of the successful clubs in England. It is because of them, I think so, a majority of fans started watching football. At least I can talk about myself and obviously you as well. That what has made Manchester United go in a downward spiral post the beginning of the 92 era. Let's go back some ages and let's talk from 92 era or maybe earlier than that, however you want to take it. And my question to you first is, do you feel that Manchester United and or the Manchester United players have lost their connection with the fans? First question to you is that.
I think so. The answer to that question is yes. And I think so that's not just for United. I think that's for all the football clubs right now. Because if you see, there has been like a generational shift in football since the time we have had these so-called huge money bag owners, like talking about the Etihad group, and then we had PSG and all these big businessmen, all these extreme rich people. So since the time we have had them in the sport, I think this sort of a connection has been lost. So earlier you used to remember there were some great adages which used to float around that the name on the jersey doesn't matter, it's just the badge which is there on the shirt. But now it's the other way around, I feel, because right now everybody is doing their own PR. It's all about money. So I don't think so I will be just segregating Manchester United in that they don't have a connection with the fans. I think that's for any club right now. Those loyalties of those past era, like we talk about Francesco Totti. So Roma, not a successful club, but still that guy always remained loyal. Similarly, Ryan Giggs, we had other players, John Terry as well. But what I'm trying to convey over here is that connection is lost, but that's across the entire footballing world. But to your point around what's happened with Manchester United, I think the answer is pretty simple yet pretty complex. The pretty simple answer is the ownership. It's very evident. It's very evident they have no clue what they are doing, and we can talk about. And I'm laughing right now because the kind of players they are going after, the kind of recruitment they are planning right now, and this was supposed to be a new era. This was supposed to be something which is going to be starting afresh. And if this is afresh, I think Manchester United and their faithfuls, they can be only expecting like a mid-table finishes across over the next few years now. If not fighting for relegation, I can even go down to that extent as well. But
Okay.
as per your question, where it has gone wrong, I think it's the ownership. What about you? What's your take on that? I think it's the ownership. Everything boils down to the ownership.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, it does boil down to the ownership and the hierarchy which the club has, um, and it also depends on how what kind of a footballing background or knowledge does the owner have, and what kind of a attachment does the owner have. And we can look at Arsenal as well. When they moved from Highbury to Emirates, we all made fun and games that Arsenal doesn't sign, and they are just a very misery club. They don't spend it all. But over the long haul, if you look at it, they've been the most profitable club, and even they find that the fans of Arsenal did have a distrust, or they didn't see them gunning for trophies and all even after a long period of time. But I feel the over there the ownership along with the manager were thinking in the long-term era, and I think that now in the Arteta era, people are starting to see what the base which Arsene Wenger and the the Arsenal ownership laid down is coming into play. And same thing, we roll back and let's what happened with the Roman Abramovich and the Chelsea youth and all of those things. Even though that is a different ballgame altogether, but then yes, it all depends on what is the vision, mission of the owners of a club. If that
I
doesn't
think so. I
happen,
think so. Yeah.
then
I
go
think
ahead.
so, sister. Like you're absolutely correct on that. But I would also beg to add one more point over here that I think it would be wrong to compare one club with the other and compare especially United to an Arsenal, because I think every club has their own challenges. So United, we are only talking about the owners not investing in the stadium and not doing anything for the stadium. Arsenal, their owners, and at that particular moment of time, they did stuff and they created a new stadium. So that's entirely, I think, something which Arsenal should be proud of. But if I'm talking about comparing Arsenal and looking at the future, I would still say I would not jump a lot of guns right now saying that Arsenal has made they have a perfect prototype, because I'll be honest, right now Arteta might be doing really good, and last season also the young squad and the players, they performed well, but we need to understand the comparison and also the stakes which are there. So Arsenal finishing fifth in a season was considered a good performance, whereas United, languishing so far, finished sixth, and it was like the worst season ever. So I think there are some bars which are set, and I think right now we are not talking about mediocrity for United, which I think we have started to accept with Arsenal, but at least they are moving forward. United, it seems it's just lagging behind and behind, and maybe they might even go down this particular season. But I feel United structure and Arsenal structure is entirely different. Owners, both the owners, I will not give credit to any owner, because I think the Arsenal ownership is as bad as United, if not ours is worse. Like United is worse, I feel, because Glazers, they just take dividends out of the club, uh, whereas Arsenal ownership, they don't spend money. So they are both on the same platter in terms of the comparison, I would say. But I would still not compare Arsenal with the United. With United, it's all about not even looking at the future. It's all about somebody not knowing football. So I will just give you a simple example, that if you are buying a car, or if I'm buying a car and I'm hiring a driver to drive me around, and that driver doesn't know how to drive the car, and I'm paying for that driver's salary, then if the driver doesn't know how to drive and he's just crashing my car left, right, and center, then yes, that driver is definitely at fault, but I'm also at fault, or you are also at fault, who's employing that. So we saw with Ed Woodward. Right now we are actually seeing with Murto as well. We are seeing with Fletcher. I think they both don't know anything what they are doing, because till the point Anatovic and Rabio weren't in the discussion, I still felt that they might have some plan. But right now it's just becoming a mockery. So I think, as I said, the answer to your question is quite simple, yet quite complex, because it's a string of errors. It's the string of goof ups. It's a string of mistakes which they have not learned from.
Okay.
That's my take.
But yeah, okay. So when you said that you just mentioned that there was the amount of expectations which are there attached to a club like Manchester United, and mediocrity attached to what the fans may have accepted, like it was a very successful season for Arsenal. Do you think that now uh, are these days the most darkest days which Manchester United has ever seen under any ownership, for that matter, earlier or now? And do you
No,
think
no,
there
no.
is a way out of it, or do you think this is not even the tip of the iceberg kind of a thing?
So yeah, I think these are not the worst days, because if like all the United fans, and especially the old ones who have been watching football for a long time, they must be aware that the United has got relegated also, and their one of their holy trinities, he scored against United, and that relegated United. So definitely not the darkest days, but especially in the modern era, I think it's very tough if you really lag behind, languish behind, and then to come back from there. So I think on that aspect, they should be very, very scared where they are right now. In terms of the level up and how to get out of this mess, sister, I think gone are the days when we used to say, get in a manager, get in a director of football, get in this, get in that. I think everything has been done, at least from the IQ. So say from the Glazers perspective. But I feel the only solution is, if the Glazers sell this club, let's start from the scratch. They might not get profits, but I don't see them, if the club is performing so badly, I don't see them sticking either. So I think it's a maximum of couple of years. If United is stuck in the mediocrity, I think definitely they are going to go. And I think that's the only way out for United. No director of football, no manager can change anything.
All
What
right.
about you? What's your take?
And well, see, I agree. I agree to the fact that yes, the mediocrity. I still feel that there, in the modern era, the kind of games I've seen United play, um, this is not the worst, but it is not the best either. And it is a mixed bag. It is, like you said, it is not. It is a simple answer yet a complex answer. It is a mixed bag of uh, multiple mistakes which could have been avoided. But at the end of the day, that those bundle mistakes have become so huge that if you try and take out a rabbit from the hat, you might find a wolf in it. It is that level. What could have been eradicated earlier or avoided earlier is now being done again, just to remove that. But then again, the time taken for that thing to be removed is going to be pushing the club back further. And I think so that is one aspect we have to look at. That's my first point. And again, a point for you again, in terms of the kind of processions and the fans protesting the ownership. I believe it has happened earlier, even before the Glazers came into existence in 2007, if I'm not wrong, 6, 7, 7, 8 season. When the Glazers,
Glazers were there since 2005. So yeah,
2005.
there have been multiple
Yeah.
protests post that. There have been
Correct.
multiple, although not at this scale.
Yeah.
Not at this scale, but yeah, there have been multiple protests.
My question is, I think so that what I was reading about was that there have been certain fan sections about who've created a brand new club called as FC United of Manchester. They've got about 4,400 seating space somewhere in Manchester. They're playing the Northern League, and they feel they are the die-hard core United fans as well, because that club was established in 2005, and I think so it's 17 years. That 17 years has been because of the Glazers era beginning at that time. So do you think the kind of the actions which the fans are showing and everything which is happening, do you think this is the right way forward to push an owner out, or are there other ways to do those things? Because United in itself is a huge organization. They've been registered. They are on the New York Stock Exchange. All of those factors are there. So obviously there's going to be a board and everything is going to be there. Somebody who can oust the owners.
So to your point, I think I'll talk about the first one, which is like a section of the fans who have actually separated and created their own club. I think that's entirely up to a particular section in the city. So Manchester is a huge city within England, we all know, and there is a club like City, there's a club like United, then we have this FC United of Manchester as well. So I think that doesn't bring into a context that, you know what, the fans aren't united, because see, many cities have multiple clubs. So I don't think so that should be a worrying factor. But yes, in terms of the protests, I would say that the maximum the fans can do, they can only protest, right? So I think it'll be really shameful if these protests turn violent, but I think that's the only next step which can happen. And this is like a kind of a warning to the Glazers, because I saw Joel Glazer there, and the first game week, he was watching from the stands, and the crowd was chanting Glazers out. So I think the tip of the this is right now the tip of the iceberg, which you pointed out, because I think you will see a lot of protests in the next United home game. And I have got this news from some inside sources that Manchester United Liverpool is going to be the next home game, and the fans, they haven't forgotten the last year's drubbing at Old Trafford at the hands of their fiercest rivals. So they might be expecting the same again. And This time around, I think they're just like what happened the last season. I think it was last to last season as well. This time around, the protest will be at a different scale altogether. So I think the fans, the best they can do is, number one, they can protest all these games. They don't attend the games, walk out of the games, don't buy the merchandise, just the way they shut down the mega store, I think, on the first game week of the season, because they were all standing in front. So I think these are all the things which the fans can do. But yeah, obviously, I think this can only change Glazer's mind from the perspective of, like, if they are actually looking at it and saying that, okay, this is the downfall of the club, we really don't see ourselves as the future owners of this club. I think on that aspect they can maybe quit and they might move on. But I still feel, because United has been their cash cow for like so many years, I think it's going to take a really good bid. That's the first thing, even more than the protest. Really good bid to actually ouster the Glazers this time around, because
Okay.
this club is hugely in debt.
Okay. And my last, I think so. My last two questions for you, very quickly. What do we as fans, and not just you, what do we as fans should expect? The major changes which would bring Manchester United out from the ashes, or make them rise again. What changes do you think would be necessary aspect of it?
So I think, had you asked me this question 5-6 years ago, I would have said that short-term fixes or long-term fixes. But I think now the time for short-term fixes is long gone, because short-term fixes are not going to work. First one is, hopefully United will get some buyer, some owner who's going to splash the cash and maybe get these Glazers out, because they are sticking to United until and unless they are going to get a profit out of it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, there are a lot many people across the footballing world who have footballing sense. Clearly, that sense is not prevailing in Manchester United right now. Accepting that, taking a bit of a hit in your, like, I would say, in your perception that you know everything, getting a director of football once the ownership changes, setting right people at the right positions, and then talking about managers, because manager is at the bottom level. Manager alone cannot do anything. So setting up the recruitment team correct, and this director of football, but that is secondary. The first is the ownership change. I think I'll be making a huge statement today. I can't see United back from the ashes unless and until Glazers sell the club.
Okay. And my last and the final question for you, and for everybody who's watching, do you feel that the other clubs fans who've been shouting out that they've been United fans are bloody crazy, that they've been crying that, oh, they weren't getting signings, this is happening, that is happening, should those fans come to know what is the core issue over here, not just the ownership, but then apart from that also the missing pieces which are there. And if that is the case, should all the club's fans, the rivalry can be at one place, but then apart from that, if the rivalry can be at one place inside the field, but outside the field the fans can support each other, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think we saw a great example of it during that Super League fiasco. Everybody was united. At the end, you need football as a sport to grow. You need football as a sport, that passion which actually it exudes. You need that. You need that. And right now, whether you talk about, and I'm just referring to Premier League clubs right now, you talk about Liverpool, you talk about City. These two are the most successful clubs right now. But look at their owners. One is US based. They have bumped onto Klopp. They have got a structure because of Klopp, because they've bumped onto him. But before that, they were not also doing quite good either, before Klopp as well. City, I think they are just again I won't try to really move into a hostile territory by talking about like who is the owner and what are the ties of those people. But I'm still saying it's an oil money. So the fans know that they don't have that kind of a relationship with the owners. Owners really don't know anything about the city as well. So I think fans are united. I think we actually saw that in that fiasco for the Super League. So as the brainchild of these top six clubs and the Real Madrid owner as well. But yeah, I think that's entirely true. And I think apart from the rivalries, I think fans do accept, and you're correctly pointing out, if you take out Manchester United from the contention of the title in the Premier League, I think the status of the Premier League is getting diluted. Whether it is a City fan, a Chelsea fan, or Arsenal fan, I think they will all agree. And same for Arsenal and Liverpool as well. If you are down in the dumps, I think you're diluting that Premier League status.
Right.
That's what I feel about it. Yeah.
All right. So on that note, let's call it a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in to what has happened to Manchester United. And have you met sister? So on that note, do like, share, subscribe, enable those notifications, and see you guys in the next one. Bye guys. See ya, sister.
Bye-bye.